Sick of getting blisters? Stop slipping and just be comfortable with Pure Grip Socks Pro. Great fit, great comfort, lots of grip, and an even better price. Available now at puregripsocks.com.
Simply put, if you want a knitted upper football boot, this is the best one you can buy. And here's why. With pricing maybe being the biggest downside of the Nike Phantom GX2 Elite, however, they are pretty well on par with most top-end models these days, and given that they do come out in so many different colorways and maybe aren't as popular as the original version once was, you can regularly find them on sale. Nonetheless, at retail, if you want the low-cut GX2, even in this new Erling Haaland colorway, retail is $260, where if you prefer a mid-cut variation of the same football boot, you can get the Luna 2 Elite for $285. However, like I always say, more often than not, you don't have to pay full retail. So if you are interested in some new Phantoms, you can pick them up below their normal retail price by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes via the links down below. As far as the knitted upper component of the current Phantom is concerned, it's kind of crazy to think that it's been 10 years since Nike first introduced Flyknit in the original Magista Obra and Mercurial Superfly 4, and once upon a time, it seemed like every top-end model was some variation of a sock boot. But if we look at today's current football boot landscape, you have the Phantom GX along with the Luna, effectively a low-cut and a mid-cut variation of the same boot. We have the New Balance Tequila V4 Plus Pro with a fully knitted upper, and we have the Future 7 Ultimate, which is kind of more of a textile base rather than a full knit. And granted, there are knitted components on a bunch of different football boots, but in terms of the upper being majority knitted material, you really only have those three options. And while I don't think there's a bad choice from those three, I do think the clear winner, if you're after the best knitted football boot, is the current generation Phantom, which isn't technically Flyknit, but instead GripKnit, an evolution of the original Phantom GX, which is basically Flyknit with a yarn component added in that has a grippy, almost silicone rubbery texture to it that now spans the entire upper. So instead of a grip element, which is something that you might find on an Adidas Predator 24 as an example, the grip is consistent across the entire foot without any added elements on the surface. It's just worked in to the material itself. And the grip itself is not so sticky where your feet are going to get stuck to the ball. You can definitely still drag your foot along the ball, although granted, there is definitely going to be a getting used to period when it comes to the additional grip that these provide. But the sense of control from that soft grip that you get from the texturing of this upper, I think is very positive. And while not for everybody, if you like to have that little bit of additional grip, these genuinely do make it seem like there is an added element of control that you simply won't get from any other football boot. And then because all the grip is incorporated within the knit itself, you're getting what is arguably one of the softest and most pliable takes on Nike's Flyknit technology so far in this new generation Phantom. No break-in time required, incredible flexibility. It really does feel like a pair of socks. And structurally, with this nice deep lacing system, they hold your feet in place really well, giving you that nice locked-in responsive sensation. The low-cut design on the GX2 is super comfortable through the back of the heel. Really soft microfiber lining in the heel liner itself with the perfect amount of padding. Again, if you prefer the mid-cut thing, you do have the option of the mid-cut Luna. No real difference there other than just some added material around your ankle. And then of course, there's the sole plate and stud pattern, which was taken from the original Phantom Luna and moved on to this next generation of Phantom. I know a lot of people are unhappy about that. However, I do think this is actually a great overall performer, despite some of the misconceptions that I think Nike have put out there in regards to this kind of circular Cyclone 360 setup. I don't think it really prioritizes rotational movement quite as well as Nike says it does. It really just feels more like a bladed mercurial stud pattern more than anything. So if you like aggressive traction, I don't think you're going to be unhappy with what this has on offer. The sole plate as a whole also has a very solid feel underfoot, but as I mentioned in past videos, if you're not into the blades and you would prefer something that feels more along the lines of the original Phantom GX, you can opt for the AG Pro variation in certain colorways, which gives gives you the original Phantom GX sole plate and conical studs running throughout, kind of making it more like a Tiempo setup rather than a Mercurial setup. And if you do regularly play on artificial grass, I do think the AG Pro variation would be the much better choice, but you can also wear it on natural grass should you choose to do so. And then there's the weight component, where, as I've always said on this channel, the marketing can be misleading. This is a control boot, this is a speed boot. You'd expect the Mercurials to weigh less, but in reality, both in the same size 9.5 US, starting off with the top end Vapor 15 Elite, they weigh in at 6.75 ounces, the equivalent of 191 grams, obviously very lightweight on feet. Then we'll throw on the Phantom GX2 Elite, and you can see that they weigh in at 6.85 ounces, the equivalent of 194 grams. That's a 3-gram weight difference, and something that I think a lot of people will always choose Mercurials over any other option from Nike because they think they're getting the lightest possible product. And while that is technically true, when it comes to picking between these two, if you liked the features on offer from the Phantom GX but you thought they were going to be too heavy, just know that's not the case. On feet, these remind me so much of the OG Magista Obra, but with a significantly more comfortable heel design. I think what's so awesome about the current generation of Phantom is how soft and sock-like the knitted upper feels. The fact that it's grippy on the surface has no impact on the way that it feels on your feet whatsoever, which is really cool. And from a shaping perspective, again, pretty similar to the original Magista Obra in that there's decent width through the midfoot and forefoot. It does taper in the toe box like the original Magistas did. Personally, not my cup of tea. I would prefer a slightly more rounded, slightly wider toe box shape than what these have, but a lot of people really like them. And if you are coming from the previous generation Nike Phantom GX, this is going to be fairly similar in shape with maybe just a little bit of extra width through the midfoot. The lacing system runs nice and deep, so it allows for plenty of adjustability and it allows you to get that nice secure feel. Again, the heel is significantly more comfortable than those early mid-cut boots from Nike were, and it's pretty much the same whether you go for the low-cut GX or the mid-cut Luna 2. The design and construction does not change. You just get some extra material wrapping around your ankle. From a width perspective, like I said, these are going to be suitable for most people in terms of overall width through the midfoot and forefoot. It's just the toe box area that is that little bit tapered. So if you need that extra width in the toes, they might not be ideal, but for those that have worn Nike boots in the past, I don't foresee these being a major issue for you. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you are looking to get a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. To make a long story short, if you loved the 2014 Nike Magista Obra, consider the current generation of Phantom, whether it's the low-cut GX2 or the mid-cut Luna 2, to be the 10-year evolution of that exact football boot.